Alrighty. Welcome back to another one of my short Skyblock speedruns. In today's video, I speedran for the Silky Lichen item, which meant that I had to complete the entire Spruce Woods race in under 18 seconds. This challenge sounds fairly easy at first, but being able to acquire all of the necessary gear to complete all of the races, but on a fresh profile is much harder than what you'd expect, making this a great speedrun concept overall. Also, if you didn't already know, I actually stream all of my Skyblock speedruns live over my Twitch, so if that is something that does interest you, the links are down in the description below. But with all of that being said, let's get straight into the speedrun. Jumping straight into a brand new profile here, the first thing of course was to grab an oak log on my island. I did this because I was going to need two tools for this speedrun, a golden axe and a golden shovel. These tools would actually let me get two of the big requirements of this entire speedrun. The axe of course was to unlock the foraging islands so I could actually do the woodland race at all. And the shovel, well, you'll see why we need the shovel a little bit later. However, I did go ahead and grab my rogue sword along with all these things as well, and then I headed straight for the farming islands to get started on some easy coins. Now, while I'm going for farming 5 here, I just want to talk about a couple of things that I'll be prefacing at the beginning of the speedrun. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to do this as an Iron Man profile, and the reason for that is because the woodland races were actually going to need an aspect of the end, because if I even wanted to have a fighting chance to do the woodland races properly, I would need some pretty solid mobility, and there was no way I was going to unlock those collections anyways. However, I did still go for the races legit and try to finish them as best as I could. And I also stuck with a money-making method in this video that was pretty Iron Man-like, so I didn't really use the auction and the bazaar too much for the speedrun, and I tried to keep all of the requirements as minimal as possible to give it more of an Iron Man feel. But either way, we reached farming 5 here very easily, where we headed straight over to the merchant area so we could get started on gearing up. After selling all of my materials, I went ahead and I bought 4 golden ingots so I could craft the shovel and the axe I was needing in this speedrun. With the tools in my possession, I then headed over to the librarian to buy the efficiency books that I was going to need, and I also got some bottles of enchanting so I could get some levels as well. I did end up realizing here that I didn't have enough money to get all the enchantments and the XP that I was going to need, so I just enchanted the axe first because I was going to use that tool at the beginning of the speedrun here, and then later on when I had enough money, I could just buy the rest of the enchants that I was going to need, and then I would actually enchant the shovel afterwards. With my freshly enchanted efficiency 2 golden axe though, I actually made my way over to the builder, which isn't really something that I do in all of my speedruns, but because I know I was going to be crafting a lot of sand later on in this run, having the quick craft skill would be really helpful, and if you didn't already know, you actually need carpentry level 3 in order to use the quick craft. Now unfortunately for me, I didn't have enough money to buy a stack of wool from the builder, so I couldn't unlock the quick craft skill just yet, but I kept it at the back of my mind and I would come back to that later on in this speedrun. But then I went over to the oak forest near the edge of the hub, I broke a couple of logs and got foraging level 1, and then headed straight for the birch park to get started on my foraging levels. Landing in the birch park now, the first thing I did was just get started on my foraging skill. Because the woodland races need you to go all the way up from the spruce woods to the top of the jungle area and then back to the spruce woods again, I was going to need a minimum of foraging level 5 because that way I would actually be able to get there conveniently. I also ended up needing to unlock the bazaar later on in this speedrun, so having foraging 5 was a pretty nice head start to that anyways. But overall, this part's really self-explanatory. I just went through each layer of the forest and broke as much wood as I wanted to, hit foraging 5, then headed straight for the hub to sell all my materials. Generally speaking, wood isn't too good of a money-making method as such, but early on here, having all this money from the wood that we ended up getting was very nice because then I went ahead and got all the smite books that I needed. I also went ahead and bought the undead sword that I was going to need, and then I went ahead and enchanted my undead sword with smite 5 to get ready for the graveyard. And with the weapon now in my possession, I made my way all the way over to the graveyard where I could get started on killing some zombies. Now you may be wondering here, if this is a woodland race speedrun, what's really going on here? Why do I need a shovel? Why do I need combat 5? What am I really going to do here? Well, let me let you in on a little bit of a secret here. So, the Rosetta NPC on the Hub Island was recently introduced in an update about a month ago. Now, this NPC also has a lot of pretty solid starter gear, but the one that I was eyeballing was the Celeste armor set. Now, the Celeste armor set gives you some pretty solid base intelligence for a really beginner player, and I knew that if I was able to get wise reforges on all the Celeste armor pieces, I would have around 450 intelligence with just the armor alone. Now, of course, if you pair this with a heroic aspect of the end, you can bump up your intelligence all the way to about 518, which is really, really good, and it actually gives you quite a strong amount of mana that would enable you to do the Woodland races with. And best of all, this armor set is super, super cheap, and the requirements are really easy to get, which is obviously why I got my Smite Sword, because then I could kill the zombies to level my combat skill to combat 5. Either way, the combat 5 grind was pretty easy. Once I reached it, I went all the way back over to the merchant area once again, sold my inventory, and then I enchanted my golden shovel that I would need for the mining aspect of this run. Before I left the hub though, the last thing that I had to do was once again go back over to the builder, actually buy the wool this time, and then I made my way to the carpenter to give him his stack of wool that he wanted. As I mentioned earlier, I couldn't do this step because I didn't have enough money to do so, but now that I had a pretty decent sum of money in my purse, I was able to afford the wool and unlock the carpentry skill that I would get started on to level so I could unlock Quickcraft. But with that being said, I ran all the way over to the barn teleport pad, through the barn itself, and then I finally landed over in the Mushroom Desert. Now, you may be wondering, why on earth am I going to the Mushroom Desert if the whole speedrun was meant to be on the Park Island? Well, this is actually the critical part of the run where I pretty much earn all of my money. So I have covered this strategy in a different video before, but I actually covered it for the mining XP aspect because mining sand gives you mining XP and it gives it to you at a pretty fast rate. However, sand also sells for a pretty solid amount of money and it earns around 50 to 75k per hour, which isn't all that bad considering the fact that I was trying to stick as much Iron Man as possible, and it makes pretty decent money for no actual setup cost. Now with this knowledge, I pretty much just sat in the farming islands for around an hour and 40 minutes and mined a ton of sand. So I'll just quickly summarize everything that happened that was relatively interesting and save you guys all the boring parts. So first up, I mined sand until I reached a little bit over mining level 10. Then I went over to the hub and sold about 42 enchanted sand blocks to get myself around 20k in my purse. With that money, I bought 3/4 of the Celeste armor so I'd have a little bit of mana to work with. And then I went back over to the farming islands and of course to the Mushroom Desert. Now the reason I bought the Celeste armor was because I could spam the Rogue Sword a lot more and have a lot more speed when actually mining all the sand. Although when I landed in the Mushroom Desert, it wasn't long that I actually realized that I forgot telekinesis. So I ended up going all the way back to the hub, running through to the gold mine, talking to Rusty, getting telekinesis on my shovel and also on a couple of my weapons, and then I finally went back over to the Mushroom Desert and once again got started mining sand. I stuck with this for quite some time, although I got stuck in some blocks at some point, so I ended up going back to the hub where I bought the Celeste helmet again because I had a little bit of money to work with. And now that I was in full Celeste armor with around 25k in my purse, I thought to myself, I may as well just get all my Wise Reforges right now, so I talked to the blacksmith and completed his little quest. I grabbed my 10 coal, I ended up giving it to the blacksmith, I reforged all my armor, and after a little bit of tries, I got full Wise on all of the pieces. And now that I had my Efficiency 2 golden shovel, full Wise Celeste armor, I finally went back to the Mushroom Desert for the third and final time, and I stayed there for a very substantial amount of time because I ended up reaching just a little under 2 hours into the speedrun where I decided to finish mining sand. But either way, after that very long and arduous task of just going hubs and mining sand and going hubs and selling materials, I finally had about 100k in my purse, and that's when I started to do something different. Alright, we have 114k. Let's do a bit of flipping. No way. I can't even AH flip if I wanted to, because people are just going to snipe them instead. So as you can see there, I pretty much rendered the entire auction house useless for this speedrun because getting any decent flips was going to be far too difficult, and I was streaming this whole thing to around 50 odd people at the time. Now I know that I did say that I was going to stay mostly Iron Man for this entire speedrun, but if you guys couldn't already tell, I had been mining sand for about 2 hours now, and it was getting pretty boring, so I just wanted to speed something up and do something a little bit different to get some extra coins. And all in all, I got most of my money from mining sand in an Iron Man fashion anyways, so I figured doing a little bit of flipping wasn't really going to hurt. Nonetheless, I did have to unlock the bazaar if I wanted to really go anywhere with my future endeavors, so I went ahead and made my way back over to the farming islands. I got farming 7 after mining a little bit of wheat, then I went over to the merchant area once again. I got myself a promising axe from the lumberjack merchant because I, for some reason, thought the promising axe was going to be viable, and then when I actually went over and tested that thing, yeah, you'll see how crap it was. Oh, I get more wood? Is that just my foraging fortune? I think it is. Oh god, I forget this is gonna be so slow. Maybe I should have got the efficiency one. And after I realized the promising axe was absolutely useless, I just went back over to the merchant area, bought myself a golden axe. I put efficiency 4 on it this time because efficiency 4 is still pretty quick, but it's not as quick as efficiency 5. Although because I wasn't going to need the axe for very long anyways, I didn't want to waste so much time applying all those books onto it because obviously time is a little bit precious in a speedrun. So I figured efficiency 4 was going to be the best to settle with. But then I took that axe all the way over to the park lobby again. I broke a couple logs, got myself foraging 7, went back to the hub, and then I got started on bazaar flipping. Yo, Alessandro's selling me yogis, bro. No way, dude. Wait, I just claimed that for 70. Oh, hey, my yogis, bro. Yo, Alessandro just bought my yogis, dude. No way. No way. Talk about rigged gameplay, bro. So, after that relatively questionable flipping intermission, it was time to finally complete the last preparation stages before I got started with the actual race. Now, of course, the first thing I did was put heroic on my aspect of the ends to give myself that extra bit of intel that I was going to need to finish the race. Now, at first, I went over to the spruce woods and I just tried everything out with the current setup I had, the wire celeste, the heroic aspect of the end, and just sort of had a look to see how it all was going to work. Now, after a couple of runs here and getting the easy ones out of the way, I got myself the polished pebble and I also got the hunter knife as well. And I ended up strategizing and figuring things out to see how I was going to complete this quickly. So what I actually ended up realizing is a couple of things that I could do here for this speedrun. Now, after every run that I did do, I could go back to the normal hub lobby and then jump on the launch pad again, because when doing so, it would actually reset your mana back to full on most occasions. And of course, that would save me a lot of time as I didn't have to wait for the mana bar to fill up and I could just make my way back over to the spruce area and have pretty much full mana. This also just reset the run entirely. If I had a really bad run for the races, I could just go back to the hub, jump on the launch pad, go back to the spruce woods, and things will all be good again. So that was one key part to how I was going to speedrun the races here. Now, the second thing that I realized is you can actually spam the rogue sword like crazy before you stand on the pressure plate, because when you stand on the pressure plate, it actually fills your mana all the way back to full again. So what you want to do is get as much speed as possible with the rogue sword before you step on the pressure plate. Then you want to stand on the pressure plate, and then you can actually use the aspect of the end teleport in conjunction with the rogue sword speed, and that gives you a lot of speed, a lot of mobility, and makes things really, really easy. Now, I used this and ended up getting myself the polished pebble, the hunter knife, and the wolf paw, but once it came around to the 18 seconds I was going to need to beat, at this point I realized I wasn't going to be able to do this without a grappling hook. So of course, I did the logical thing that anybody would do. I went back over to the hub, went to the auction house, checked the auction house to buy them on lowest bin, to realize there were none there. Why can't you buy them, bro? I saw them on bin before. Bro. This is so dumb. They're all gonna end and then like, nah, bro. I mean, you can bin them. There was like 6 of them before the speed run, I swear. I am not joking. There was like 6 of them before the run. Oh, grappling hook. Grappling hook, 5k! Yes! Guys, legit speedrun. And after that relatively questionable, once again, grappling hook purchase, I ran back over to the spruce woods, tried the races again, and this is where things got very interesting. At first, I thought maybe I had made a big mistake here and had just spent 2 hours of my life trying to do a speedrun that wasn't even possible, but I did realize that if I was perfect enough and I timed all of my teleports perfectly and I timed the grapple hooks as best as I could, I was actually able to complete this run. I just needed to have a little bit of practice. After even more refinements to my method, I realized that if I stood on the pressure plate after spamming the rogue sword to hit 235% speed, I was able to teleport at a roughly 45-degree angle, and the magic number was 7. Teleporting 7 times gave you enough height in the air that would let you throw the grappling hook and give myself some really good air time. I did this over and over again, and quite frankly, it didn't really go so well. And then... no, I got stuck in the tree, bro. Actually, it's doable. It's definitely doable, bro. It's definitely doable, bro. It is possible if it's flawless. It has to be a flawless run, and I hate that. I hate that so much. It was at this point that I started to realize that this speedrun was much harder than I thought it was going to be. Originally, I thought having about 500 mana was more than enough to do all the races, although I definitely overestimated that and I was struggling a lot more than I would have expected. I did go ahead back to the hub again and I put heroic on my hunter knife because I figured if I'm holding the hunter knife to give myself that extra speed when running on the island, having the heroic reforge on it will also help me boost my mana regen just that extra bit, and you never know, maybe one extra aspect of the end teleport would would be just enough to finish the race, so I figured I had some extra coins, I may as well go and do that as well. Now, it didn't really make too much of a noticeable difference, although I am sure that it might have made some kind of difference when it comes to the very, very specific nitty-gritty details about it. And I kept trying and failing, and I'll just play a couple of the runs so you guys can see how close these really were. Oh, I didn't land in the tree. Oh, it's bad. Dead run, dead run, dead run, dead run, dead run, dead run, dead run. Please. 18 seconds! No, I was so close! I was so close! I could do this. I could do this. I just need the perfect run. On the trees, on the trees. Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Please, 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 I beg! Why? Why? I was so close! I was so close, bro. This is rigged. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I was spiraling out of control just a little bit. It was very discouraging to get really, really close to that 18-second mark, although being just a tiny bit over. And it also was very demotivating because, of course, nobody wants to keep doing the same thing over and over to get no result. Although after like half an hour or maybe even 40 minutes of just constant race after race after race, I've finally got the run that did it. Yes. Please? Bro, no way, no way, no way! We did it! 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 Dude! I finished! I finished! I finished! I finished! I finished! I finished! Oh my god! Oh my god! Bro! What was that? That was ridiculous! Give me that, bro. Oh my god! What time did I get? 17.982. I was so close to not getting that, bro. Oh my god. Bro, finally. Finally, dude. 2 hours, 43 minutes, 9 seconds. And with all that being said, that's going to wrap up everything that I did have for today's speedrun. This speedrun definitely has to be one of my least smooth runs that I have ever done on my channel, and honestly, pretty much none of it really went to plan, aside from the farming in the beginning. Not only did I spend almost 2 hours mining sand straight and not even getting that much money out of it, but when it came to the flipping part of the video, it was definitely not inflated by anyone in my chat at all, and not at all any rigged gameplay there. But you know, it's all in good fun, and quite frankly, these speedruns aren't really serious anyways. It's all for entertainment purposes regardless. Needless to say, I hope you guys did enjoy this video or find it entertaining in some way, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel because I make these Hypixel Skyblock videos every Wednesdays and Fridays. As I mentioned in the introduction here, if you want to check these out when they are live, I do stream over on Twitch every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and these speedruns I normally stream on the Fridays. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up everything that I had for today's video. And as always, take care and peace. That. Okay, we won this time. You get fake ban screen? Do you actually? There's no way. There's no way, no way, no way. No, you're trolling, you're trolling, you're trolling. Yo, no way! No way! That's an actual thing. Wait, what? Yo, no way, guys. Oh my god, guys, I got banned, guys.